So some basic information on surviving loss from suicide. First, therapy is critical. You will need, this is going to upend your world, and you need professional help to support you through this process. So you need to work with a licensed therapist, priests, people who are healers or whatever. Like, don't work with those people, because with this kind of stuff, you want to work with a mental health professional who understands the challenges this will present in your life and can help you in more effective ways. If you're working with someone who is not a licensed therapist, and even if you like working with them, sure, you can continue to work with them on some things, but when it comes to your mind, work with a licensed therapist. Links in the description on how to find one. Watch the video in the description on the science of trauma and grief. This is incredible in terms of the information you will glean from it. You will probably find it validating in terms of the way it speaks to some of what you may already be experiencing or have experienced. Key takeaway from that is there's lots of tools, but just as in the root of neuromeditation and many things, is that it's about the individual. And so the tools that will work for you are going to really depend a lot on you and who you are in so many different ways. But watch that video, you'll get a better idea of some understanding as well as some tools. Acceptance and commitment. So that's a kind of therapy. It's very helpful for these things. But I mean in this way of accept that there is no end point to this, the impact that this will have on you. The impact may ebb and flow. There may be times it feels quieter, and then something small can make it very, very loud, unbearably loud. So accepting, when you are waiting for an endpoint, you are striving for something that isn't there, and thus it leads you to feel defeated when you continue to have maybe even the same thing reemerge, or it comes forward in a new way. So accept that there's no endpoint and that this is annihilation and there's no avoiding it. This will upend your life, and surviving it is a long process. And commit, the commitment part is commit to yourself. Commit to tend yourself well. And this means not doing it in the way that maybe other people who don't or haven't experienced this will tell you what you should do. You work with your therapist and you tend yourself well for you. You do what feels right for you. Because you will likely experience dysregulation as a result of this, learning about your vagus nerve and your nervous system will be immensely helpful for learning to notice how and when you're activated, what the messages from your body tell you about when you're out of your zone of safety, and then to be able to interrupt that activation and then redirect it to move yourself back into safety and the ventral vagal. So this is really about becoming an expert in your own nervous system. And there are so many things that can activate our system. Our amygdalas are so hardwired to keep us safe. And so our thoughts about things, right, can cause us to feel unsafe. So it's really about identifying your state, knowing how to tools to interrupt. The vagus nerve is a key through that in your brain. That activation from the amygdala, then to redirect restoring calm and safety. For this, you can practice attuning to the body, practice the anchoring bilateral to help connect you with your unshakable center, that place to return to when we're pushed off course by events or reminders or people that we encounter. Determine how your brain likes to focus, because that's the key to the interruption. So when you understand your nervous system and your vagus nerve, knowing what captures your attention best, what really grabs it and can hold it for longest, this is your key. And so you may want to explore a few, right? Until you're sure, I recommend practicing dancing the cingulate, because it's a moving attention, which keeps your attention more because it's moving. Connecting with awe. It can be a way of focusing and coming back into the body with senses, and tuning into awe captures us, and that also works to shift us out of activation. You can use just your breath. I like this one because it's with you always. It's also why dancing the cingulate, once you know where to place your attention and how to move it, it is really, it's something you have anywhere all the time. You don't have to have anything to listen to it. You just know it. But with your breath, everyone is different, right? There's so many different styles of breathing. You can explore those. See if one really works for you and really grabs your attention. You can use it simply as you're breathing naturally. You don't have to try to control your breath. Just seeing it as a color or as an illumination. That can be helpful for people to trace it and to focus on it more. You can use physical cues, right? Your chest rising and falling, your ribs expanding with breath, your belly stretching and expanding with breath. Just attending to the physical changes in your body, the physical movements of inhalation and exhalation. You can focus on it with just feeling it in your, move through your mouth and down your throat. You can use your hand. A student reminded me of this, and then another group, we were talking about this. So using your hand and just tracing it, inhalation, exhalation, inhalation, exhalation, inhalation. Following, so for people who are tactile, like, and that touch grabs your attention more, try that. That can work to keep your attention and to help you just follow your breath. So there's a lot of different ways to work with breath. I'm not covering all of them here by any means. Those are just some ideas. Explore how you connect with breath in a way that holds your attention and really puts all of your attention on breathing and your breath. That's a potent tool for interrupting, and just that act of breathing and shifting focus and focusing on breathing can calm things down as well. So create and spend time in the cave of safety, in your cave, structure, forest, whatever container feels safest for you. Spend time in yours. Watch the video on the preparation, and it'll help you understand how to tweak it and really nuance it to be yours, and to really every detail activating safety for you. Because of the impact of your trauma, of this traumatic, devastating loss, you'll need to be able to feel safe, because so many things about, and you can watch the video on how suicide is different from other loss and normal grief, but you'll need safety even more. And it seems like simple, and you can watch the safety video if you want to understand more, but this kind of loss really upends our sense of safety in the world, in life, can really disrupt everything we believe. And so that can feel extremely unsafe. And if If your loss was also connected to the hatred of LGBTQ people in the world, as mine was, the continuing impact of that will continue to activate, moving you out of safety, making you feel unsafe. So really learning how to create safety for yourself, how to turn to it when you need it, and how to soak and savor it when you're there, how to give yourself what you need. Spending time in this space, connecting with wise old you that endures and will get through this, even if it seems utterly impossible. That connecting with the part wise old you that has gotten through it connects you with a belief you can get through it. And this is really vital, right? Because in our psyche, if we believe we're going to get through it, we're going to keep trying, keep using tools, right? But if we feel when we feel like we can't, right, we need to go spend time in that cave of safety, spend time receiving safety, spend time receiving unconditional love, support, value, protection. This space will help restore your sense of your unshakable center, your sense of being in the world, knowing that you have the power to move yourself back into safety when people, events, situations, thoughts, things we encounter push us out of that balance and out of our zone of safety. So those are just some basic things that will help. A few more there's 9. Connect with people that you love and that you feel loved and supported by. Practice, if you're separated from them by distance, practice open heart meditations, sending and receiving love from and to giving it to them and receiving it from them from a distance. This is something I had to do a lot when I moved to Oregon. As much as I had to go to Oregon, I also was so far from my son and the people I love. And so spending time practicing thinking of them and connecting with them and that love for them and feeling that love from them every day was extremely helpful, and or whenever you need it. These open heart practices help weave us into life and the living. Practicing open heart, increasing compassion for self and others is very important for just that, increasing compassion, especially for yourself during this time. Open heart, the net of Indra, focuses on those connections, those gems in our life, in this fabric, this tapestry of our life, the threads that we're woven and entwined with, the gems that reflect our beauty and our value in being alive and being in the world as we reflect it to others. So that one's a helpful one for weaving. And being the tree in the forest, that open heart practice uses tree imagery, right? And roots and limbs for that feeling of being woven with this whole forest around you, so that you can be both the tree and connected to the whole forest. And practices of suspension. You're going to want to, as often as possible, if it's on water, literally floating. I got an inflatable hot tub that really helped me, partly because I could relax and float. I'd bend my knees and I would just float on top for a bit. And that was the only time I could really feel my spine fully let go and relax. You can also try this when you're having trouble sleeping, or just to practice suspension, just lying on your bed, feeling the contact of your bed and your weight on the bed. And you can just feel that, focus on that feeling of being held and suspended. That's a comforting vagal, like ventral vagal feeling, and can quickly kind of shift and quiet things. And it also helps us work with identifying when we're holding tension in our body. And those subtle ways will just still hold it in different places. So as you're suspending, also relax your jaw and your tongue and allow, because we tend to hold a lot of tension there. So noticing the spine, the jaw, and the tongue. Practicing suspension, picturing when you're laying on your bed, you could picture this as like you're on that net of Indra, suspended by all that love and support, or you're on a hammock and just feeling suspended. That feeling of being cradled or suspended is deeply comforting to us, and it registers in those deep parts of our brain. Another facet that does this is spending time in nature. We can, in nature, you can do research, because I'm not going to include it all here. There wouldn't be any way to, because there's so much data about the benefit of time in nature on our systems and for all level of our systems. And while we're there, we can build new memories that we can draw on later. Watch the video on ways to access nature when you can't get into it, because you can increase your exposure and that beneficial aspect of receiving those benefits of nature with these various tools, right? When you can't physically get out there, some other ways to give your brain and your vagus nerve, thus your nervous system, the same hit like you've been there. It's not quite as strong, but it's very close. And this is especially when you can remember being there with all of your senses. So when you're in nature, notice, and you're feeling good, notice what you're smelling, notice what you're seeing, notice what you're hearing, notice any taste in the mouth if you're eating something or have a mint in your mouth, or just that taste in our mouth that we get from smell, that connection with those. And that felt sense of like the feeling on your skin of the sun or the wind and temperature. All of these things, register them into your brain. And practice connecting with awe. So when you get into nature, you have more opportunities to experience awe, which when you do, spend time savoring it in that way with all of your senses. And then when you need to interrupt or you need to restore, you can use that awe, that memory of awe, and drawing on all of your senses to pull that fingerprint of memory into your being so that you feel like you're there. EMDR is very helpful for imagery if you happen to be affected in that way. EMDR is very helpful for also helping us move the past into our brain files of the past, right? Instead of being in our face. And by building your toolkit and doing these practices, you are taking the reins back of your mind and your experience, and instead of being at the mercy of just the reaction to the trauma in your system. Reach out to me if you have any questions about this or would like some individualized support. Based on what you're experiencing and your goals, I can help you tweak some practices and tools so that they'll work best for you. And just know that you're having to bear the unbearable and accept the unacceptable. And you find your way through that. And these are just tools that can help make that process easier. But know that you can endure this, you can survive this, and you can reconstruct yourself and reemerge on the other side of it, changed, but there are tools that can help you to manage and live with this kind of pain and this kind of trauma. Never give up. There are tools. I talk a little bit more about that in one of the other videos, but if you feel like you've exhausted your tools, consider Spravato, because that has made the biggest difference for me in terms of dialing down my nervous system, resetting my brain. And then all the other tools on this website are what I have used and continue to use to manage and regulate my nervous system, because you can only accept that it is the way it is, and you can work with it to try to find ways to make your daily life more livable, more peaceful, more enjoyable.